Lifelines of National Economy Geography Chapter 7. Today in the video we are going to talk through the lifelines of national economy, which include transport, communication, international trade and tourism. So welcome to the video. The video contains introduction, means of transport, roadways, railways, waterways, airways, pipelines, communication, international trade and tourism as a trade. We'll begin with why transport and communication are prerequisite for fast development. Transport plays an important role in the economy. Because of transport, raw materials reach the factory and finished products reach to the consumer. The pace of development of a country depends upon the production of goods and services as well as their movement. Therefore, efficient means of transport are prerequisite for fast development. It is not only the transport. Apart from transport, the ease and mode of communications like telephone and internet makes continuous flow of information possible. Means of transport. Obviously, means of transport includes land, air and water. In land, we are going to study about railways, roadways and pipelines. In water, it's inland and overseas. In air, domestic and international. Domestic, we are going to look into public undertaking and private airlines. Today, India is well linked with the rest of the world despite its vast size, diversity and linguistic and socio-cultural plurality. Railways, airways, waterways, newspapers, radio, television, cinema and internet have been contributing to its socio-economic progress in many ways. The traders from local to international level have added to the strength of the economy. It has enriched our life, adding significantly to our comforts and improving it. Means of transport. This is a summary of what I explained earlier. We'll begin with the first one, that is the roadways. India has one of the largest road networks in the world. Roadways have preceded railways. Still, the roadways have an edge over railways in view of the ease with which they can be built and maintained. Now, this is the question: transport, that is roadways versus rail. Why roadways is preferred over the railways? Because the construction cost of roads is much lower than that of railway lines. Roads can traverse comparatively more and in topography. You can construct a road on the desert, on the mountains, but it is difficult to lay a railway line. Roads can negotiate higher gradients of slopes and as such can traverse mountains such as the Himalayas. Road transport is economical in transportation of few persons and relatively smaller amount of goods over short distance. Remember, it is few, smaller amount and short distance. It also provides door-to-door service. Thus, the cost of loading and unloading is lower. Road transport is also used as a feeder to other modes of transport. They provide a link between railway stations, air and sea ports. These are the types of roads that we have and we are going to study on that one. That's the Golden Quadrilateral, National Highways, State Highways, District Roads, Other Roads and Border Roads. We'll begin with Golden Quadrilateral. Golden Quadrilateral is a 6-lane road which connects the megacities to capital Delhi, that is Kolkata, Mumbai and Chennai to capital Delhi. The south and the north corridor of the Golden Quadrilateral is Kanyakumari and Srinagar. The west to east is Porbandar to Silchar. You can see here it is Porbandar to Silchar and north south is Kanyakumari, Srinagar to Kanyakumari. The government has launched a major road development project linking Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai, Mumbai and Delhi by 6-lane superhighway. The north-south corridors linking Srinagar that is in Jammu and Kashmir, Kanyakumari in Tamil Nadu, east-west, connecting Silchar and Porbandar. The major objective of these superhighways is to reduce the time and distance between the megacities. They are being implemented by National Highway Authority of India, or else called as NHAI. National highways link extreme parts of the country. These are the primary road systems and are laid and maintained by CPWD. A number of major national highways run in north-south to east-west directions. The NH1 is the notable one, the Sher Shah Suri Marg, which runs from Delhi to Amritsar, and NH44 is also a notable one because it is the longest one. State highways, the roads linking a state capital with different district headquarters, are known as state highways. These roads are constructed and maintained by the State Public Works Department, that is SPWD. District roads connect the district headquarters with the other places of the district. The roads are maintained by Jilla Parishad. Other roads include the rural roads, which become the link roads, which connect the villages to the towns. There are roads like special roads called as Pradhan Mantri Gramin Sadak Yojana. Under this scheme, special provisions are made so that every village in the country is linked to a major town, and it is an all-season motorable road. Border roads is a set of very special roads because Border Roads Organization, a government of India undertaking, constructs and maintain the roads in the bordering areas. It was established in 1960. It was established for the development of the roads of strategic importance in the north and the northeastern border areas. Jammu Kashmir, Uttarakhand, Himachal Pradesh and the northeast, Rajasthan. These roads have improved accessibility in areas of difficult terrain and have helped in economic development of the area. The Indian Railways is the largest public sector undertaking in the country. The first train steamed off from Mumbai to Thane in 1853, covering a distance of 34 km. Now this is regarding the railways. We'll move there. Then what about the term road density? Road density is the length of road per 100 square kilometer of area. It's called the density of roads. In India, the national average was 75 km in 96-97. Jammu Kashmir has the least of only 10 km, and Kerala with the maximum of 375 kilometers. Now, road transportation in India faces a lot of problems such as volume of traffic, passengers, road network is inadequate. About half the roads are unmetalled, and they do not have a all-weather road. The national highways are inadequate too. Moreover, the roadways are highly congested in cities, and most of the bridges are old and narrow. We'll move on to the next one, that is the railways. Now in railways, I always told you about the railways are the principal mode of transportation for goods and passengers. Railways also make it possible to conduct various activities like business, sightseeing, pilgrimage, and transportation of goods over longer distances. Apart from an important means of transport, it has been a great integrating force for more than 150 years. It's the largest employer. Railways in India bind the economic life of the country as well as accelerate the development of the industry and agriculture. Indian Railway network of 7,031 stations spread over a route length of 63,221 kilometers, which has a lot of locomotives, passenger service vehicles, coach vehicles, and wagons. The length, obviously mentioned as broad gauge, meter gauge, and narrow gauge. Broad gauge is being the most famous one. The development of railways, Indian Railway is now organized into 16 zones. The distribution of the zone depending on physiographic, economic, and administrative factors. The northern plains, with their vast level land, high population density, and rich agriculture resources, has been provided the most favorable condition. Large number of rivers pose a threat, but bridges have been built. Example, I gave you the Bogibeel Ghat Bridge and the Pamban Bridge. In the hilly terrains of the peninsular region, railway tracks are laid through low hills gaps or tunnels like the Sahyadri Konkan Railway. The Himalayan mountain regions are unfavorable for the construction of railway due to relief, less population. Likewise, it is difficult to lay railway lines on sandy plain of western Rajasthan, swamps of Gujarat, forested tracts of Madhya Pradesh, Chhattisgarh, Orissa, and Jharkhand. The continuous stretch of Sahyadri could be crossed only through the passes, that's Ghats, the Pal Ghat, the Bor Ghat. In recent times, the development of the Konkan Railway along the west coast has facilitated the movement of passengers. Now they can go. Goods are also goods also getting themselves facilitated in this region of the country, but it has its own share of problems to be saying, like a lot of passengers travel without tickets. That's the one. Thefts and damaging of railway property has not stopped completely. People think it's their own property and they try to steal the things from the train. You remember people stealing LED TVs displays from the Vande Mataram Express. People stop the trains, pull the chain unnecessarily, and this causes heavy damage to the railway. Next comes the pipelines. Pipeline transport network is a new arrival on the transportation map of India. In the past, they were used to transport water to the cities and industries. Now they are used to transport crude oil, petroleum products, natural gas from oil and natural gas fields to refineries, fertilizer factories, and big thermal power plants. Solids also can be transported through a pipeline when they are converted into slurry. The far inland locations of refineries like Barauni, Mathura, Panipat, and gas-based fertilizer plants could be only thought when you have pipelines, because they are very, very interior. Initial cost of laying the pipelines is high, but subsequently the running cost will be very less, and they rule out the transshipment loss or delay. Some of the important networks of pipeline transportation in the country are, we'll begin with the first one, that's oil field in Upper Assam to Kanpur via Guwahati, Barauni, Allahabad. It has branches from Barauni to Haldia via Rajband to Maurigram and Guwahati to Siliguri. Second one is from Salayad in Gujarat to Jalandhar in Punjab via Viramgam, Mathura, Delhi, and Sonipat. It has branches to connect Koyali near Vadodara, Gujarat, Chakshu, and other places. The very famous one being the gas pipeline from Hazira in Gujarat connects Jagdishpur in Uttar Pradesh via Vijaypur in Madhya Pradesh. It has branches to Kota in Rajasthan, Shahjahanpur, Babrala, and other places in Uttar Pradesh. Now that brings to the end of part 1, guys. I hope you have understood the concepts in the part 1. The rest of the concepts will be dealt in the next video, that is part 2. Till then, it's goodbye from me. Take care.